This is unusual. This is something which we have never thought. This is godly, I would say, because we have seen such innings in like once only in my career itself. Whenever like I have seen the cricket, I've seen this done by Ben Stokes in Ashes, and now what Glenn Maxwell has done today, he has scored a double hundred at such a crucial stage, जहां पर ऑस्ट्रेलिया almost अपने सारे विकेट्स गंवाने वाली थी और अफगानिस्तान एक हिस्टोरिक विन पुल ऑफ करने वाली थी, बट देन ग्लेन मैक्सवेल वाज वन पर्सन हु वाज स्टैंडिंग एट दैट वॉल, जो उन्होंने बिल्कुल नहीं होने दिया, और जिस तरीके से आज रन स्कोर किए हैं, this is mammoth. This is something which I have never experienced. I think we should call it one of the greatest ODI inning in the history of 48 years of ODI career already. What do you think, Pratyay? How do you see this? Like, this is something which, like, I'm already speechless, though I have given a lot of words to it, but I'm still speechless to this.
It was indeed that kind of an innings, Ratsi. How do you describe it? How do you define it? It was absolutely impossible at one stage. 91 for 7. Australia were really staring down the barrel, and Glenn Maxwell, I mean, you have to literally stand and applaud for that kind of an effort. It was unbelievable. I think none of us have seen such kind of thing happening on a cricket field. Not because we have not seen, but because it has really never happened. To score a double century in a game where you were chasing 292 in the conditions that he did it, in the Mumbai heat, completely drenched in sweat, not even being able to pull up his feet. He was literally batting without both his legs at the end moment, no foot movement at all. But the manner in which he batted, it was incredible, Ratsi. I think it's one of the finest knocks ever played in the history of cricket, not just this format, but it is one of the greatest innings of all time. Because look at the scorecard. Credit to Cummins as well for hanging around there, playing 60, 70 odd balls. But Glenn Maxwell, take a bow, seriously. Unbelievable knock. I mean, this is an understatement, because I don't think words have been made so far to describe the kind of effort Maxwell has been able to put in today.
This is godly, some are saying, because we have never seen this done by humans, definitely. Because at such stage where you're having all over the cramps on your body, you were like unable to stand at a point. Jahan par Adam Zampa was literally waiting if he might come back, and Adam Zampa has to go and take the guard. But then there's something like, मैं क्या बोलूं इस चीज को, like you have this thing in your mind that you have to win it for your country, and only you can do it, you know it, and then you end up putting up whole your body, just आपने अपने आप को collect किया, and you are taking the guard for the country. And this is something जो I don't think so कि history में कभी भी कोई इस inning को भुला पाएगा. This World Cup has been that, and I'm really glad to have such a career in such a industry जहाँ पर हमें ऐसी चीजें देखने को मिलती हैं जो वर्ल्ड में हिस्ट्री बनकर रह जाती है. आई एम रियली होपिंग कि ये वर्ल्ड कप ऐसे ही कंटिन्यू करे द वे इट इज. बट लेट मी शो यू द मैच समरी ऑफ दिस मैच, बिकॉज नंबर्स डेफिनेटली डिफाइन नहीं करते, बट एक नंबर डिफाइन करेगा, वो मैं आपको अभी आज की समरी में दिखाती हूँ किस तरीके से ये मुकाबला गया है अफगानिस्तान और ऑस्ट्रेलिया के बीच में. सो इनिशियली अफगानिस्तान स्टार्टेड ऑफ बाय विनिंग द टॉस, एंड देन दे हैव ऑप्टेड टू बैट. देन 291 रन्स का स्कोर खड़ा किया मुंबई वानखेड़े स्टेडियम पे बाय गिविंग अप 5 विकेट्स. इब्राहिम जादरान का बहुत ही शानदार सेंचुरी, 129 रन्स उन्होंने स्कोर किए अगेंस्ट द बॉलिंग अटैक लाइक ऑस्ट्रेलिया 143 बॉल्स पे. देन राशिद खान की 35 रन्स की इनिंग जो कि काफी क्रूशियल थी एट द एंड ऑफ द टेल. देन जॉश हेजलवुड ने 2 विकेट लिए, ग्लेन मैक्सवेल के नाम 1 विकेट रहा जो उन्होंने अपनी इनिंग्स में अपनी बॉलिंग करते हुए लिया. 2 थोड़े एक्सपेंसिव रहे. वहीं अगर हम बात करें उसके बाद में ऑस्ट्रेलिया की तरफ से 293 का स्कोर जो आपको दिख रहा है, दिस इज नॉट सच अ ह्यूज स्कोर फॉर ऑस्ट्रेलिया, बट इनिशियली जिस तरीके का अटैक अफगानिस्तान ने शो किया, बैक टू बैक विकेट्स गिर रहे थे, किसी को भी खड़ा नहीं होने दिया, और हमने देखा ग्लेन मैक्सवेल की वो मैमथ इनिंग जिसको हम हमेशा याद करेंगे. मैक्सवेल ने स्कोर किया 201 रन, डबल सेंचुरी इन वर्ल्ड कप बाय ग्लेन मैक्सवेल बाय एन ऑस्ट्रेलियन बैटर इन 128 बॉल्स. ये आप बॉल्स भी देखकर अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं कितनी फायरी रही होगी ये इनिंग. नॉट आउट गए, लास्ट बॉल पे 6 लगा करके अपना उन्होंने डबल 100 पूरा किया. इसके अलावा मिचेल मार्श 24 रन स्कोर किए, राशिद खान ने 2 विकेट लिए, नवीन उलहक ने 2 विकेट लिए. ऑस्ट्रेलिया अल्टीमेटली 3 विकेट से जीत गया. तो वैसे मैं बहुत ही डिफिकल्ट टास्क आपको देने वाली हूँ, बट अगर आपको लगता है कि हिस्ट्री में ये नॉक किस वर्ड से जाना जाएगा, कैन यू गिव इट अ वर्ड?
Incredible is the only word which comes to mind, because it is hard to believe. I mean, look at the scorecard. I mean, the second highest score is 24, and there is another man who has done all the job, 201 runs out of, when your team is chasing 292, I don't think you would be able to put yourself in a situation where you would be imagining that someone would get a double century, because you're not even chasing something like a 400, which will at least make, or 350, which will make double hundred at least a possibility. But the manner in which he batted, the manner in which he literally, because I would well define this contest as Maxwell versus Afghanistan and not Australia versus Afghanistan, because if you take him out, there was nothing absolutely left for Australia. 91 for 7, like I said, it feels so old. It feels as if it happened in the previous World Cup, not even in this game. Because, at one stage, it really seemed that Afghanistan juggernaut will continue to roll. The manner in which they have been winning their games, they would be able to topple Australia as well. But gradually, the partnership started. And Maxwell had the rub of the green, Ratsi, as well. And I think they always say, the fortune favors the brave. And he was the bravest of all that you have seen today. No doubt about that, because a couple of catches were dropped. One was really difficult. That was dropped by Rashid and Hashmatullah, because Rashid did not go for it. Another one dropped by Mujib. That one should have been caught, because I think had they been able to grab hold to that one, the match would have been well and truly over by that time. Close to 100 for 8. That would have been really curtains down upon the innings of Australia. But unfortunately, not being able to hold on to that catch. Then a couple of edges. The very first ball that Maxwell faces, that was a close call as well. And then another one that he faced off Mujib later on, again survived. It was just a matter of inches. Had he missed that ball, he would have gotten out. He survived a close LBW call as well. So, it seemed like the script was written. It was all destined to happen. And we just saw it unfurl in front of our eyes at one of the most iconic of venues. In not just India but in world cricket, Wankhede Stadium. It is a storied ground. It has had many games which are part of the sports law, which are part of the folklore. And like I said, it's moment like these when you have a loss for words, because it's something that none of us has ever seen. So the effort, completely outplaying and keeping and ensuring that Australia goes on to qualify for the tournament semi-final. I think kudos to Maxwell. And more than what he did, I think, we all know that he has this capacity of hitting outrageous shots, playing 360 degree, putting balls into unusual areas in the ground. But it was the last 10 overs which really completely blew my mind off, because not having your body supporting you, not having both your legs with you, not being able to run, he was denying singles. But the confidence that he had in himself by that stage, that even if he was denying singles, he knew that it's going to be a matter of sixes and fours for me. And by that stage, he was just seeing the ball like a football. And he just showed, because there was no footwork. Some of his boundaries were simply unbelievable, because he wasn't even moving his feet 1 inch. And he was managing to, maneuver the field, and he was managing to hit ball behind deep square at third man, over long on, over long off. It was simply unbelievable. And I think Cummins, yes, of course, the kind of effort that Maxwell has given here, it is very hard to, go past him and talk about anything else. But we have to give a lot of credit to Pat Cummins as well for just hanging around there, because, those 60, 70 odd balls that he played, had he not survived, Maxwell would have not been able to do anything at all. So he might have contributed only 11, 12 odd runs in that mammoth partnership, record partnership. I think it's the highest in ODI history for the 8th wicket. But it was a contribution as big as any, because his task was just to stand there, hold his ground, and ensure that another wicket does not fall down. Because another wicket, Adam Zampa, and of course, Aussies have this knack for batting. They can really bat deep. Josh Hazelwood can talk around a little bit. Adam Zampa, we saw him in the last game. He struck some 29 odd. So they can bat, but you never know, because a new batter coming in, the manner in which Afghanistan were bowling, once this partnership began, it completely deflated the Afghanistan attack, because they had their tails up. The manner in which Naveen Ulhaq started, Omar Zai striking twice in 2 balls, dismissing Warner and Inglis. Naveen Ulhaq, the seam presentation for him was absolutely surreal. I think it really felt at stages that I'm not watching Afghanistan bowl, but India perhaps, because it was really that impressive. To have Australia down on their knees, 90 odd for 7 is not something that you really see on a daily basis. And for Afghanistan to do that, well and truly, I remember on one of the games when they had won, and I said that I'm not going to call their wins an upset any longer. And they have well and truly gone on to prove that none of their victories are an upset, because this is a team which is really showing great character. I think, the very fact that Australia were put into that situation where Maxwell had to play this sort of an innings
Right.
in itself is a credit to Afghanistan, that they at least pushed Australia to their extents. They ran them close, they had them down in their hunches. It was an incredible match. I think it's one of the finest ODIs ever played, and it's one of the
Right.
finest knocks that we have witnessed. I think all of us, I mean, not just as people who work in the profession, but anyone who witnessed this knock, I think it was a special one, and it was an absolute privilege to have watched him bat today.
And I'm feeling sorry for those who haven't watched this match, because this you have missed something which I don't think so in history as well you're getting it repeated, because at number 8 kind of a partnership, this kind of an effort from Pat Cummins and Glenn Maxwell, the mammoth one, I think you are not going to see it again. Maybe no. I don't think so. This is very difficult. But I was preparing myself for Afghanistan's win, because I was thinking the way Australia let Afghanistan score a century by Ibrahim Zadran, and afterwards 290 some scores they have got, and afterwards Australia giving up their wickets like anything, and then I was preparing myself for Afghanistan's win, because this was something which was really going to be special for Afghanistan as well. And I've got a comment to show you, Pratyay, as well. This Vishal Majumdar, he's asking this question: so what a match Maxwell single-handedly win for Australia, but so do you think Afghan bowlers should bowl bouncers to Maxwell at last and Mujib drop catch cost the match?
Absolutely, I think very, very good point. In fact, raised by. In fact, I was saying that to my father when I was sitting with him and watching the match, that they should be bowling, slightly wide out outside the off stump. Maybe try something else, because all the deliveries, if you notice, Rasi, they were really in the slot. They were exactly in the position where Maxwell wouldn't really have required to use his feet. You know that there's a batter in front of you who is not having both his legs. Try to do things, bowl him a bouncer, bowl the cutters, bowl wide outside the off stump. Because, if you are bowling a dead point Yorker, a pinpoint Yorker, the batter will have to bring that bat down in quick time and will have to use their feet. Perhaps, just take their feet outside so that the LBW does not come into play. Stuff like that. But what they instead did is they kept giving Maxwell balls which he could have worked around on either side of the wicket. And the problem with bowling to Maxwell and an in-form Maxwell is that your options as a bowler are extremely limited anyway, because he is a bowler. You can be delivering it on perhaps the 7th stump line, and he will hit you over deep square leg, because he has this ability to play 360 degree.
Right.
Not a lot of cricketers have that. Surya Kumar Yadav, AB de Villiers, Glenn Maxwell. This is what makes them very difficult. This is what makes them extremely tough to bowl to, specifically when they are in the kind of form that Maxwell was in today. But yes, definitely that I think it was easily one of the costliest drops of all time from Mujib, because he was really starting to gather his steam at that point in time, Maxwell, when he was dropped. And like I said, he was really lucky to have survived, because even that LBW appeal, he had started to walk off. DRS has been iffy in this entire World Cup. There has been plenty of discussion. That to me also looked out, but I was surprised to see that missing by quite some margin. So I really felt that fortune favored him, and yes, disappointed by the manner in which Afghanistan bowled, because I think it was an innings of two halves for them. The first 20 overs, they were right on the money. They had complete strange hold over Australia, and then suddenly, once that partnership started to build, they looked clueless. I think Hashmatullah Shahidi as well, some tactical calls could have been better from him. He really held back Mohammad Nabi for too long, and by the time he was introduced into the attack, Maxwell was all guns by that time. So he was going to eat him alive, and that's exactly what he did. So I think had Nabi been introduced quickly, I felt that it was slightly defensive from Shahidi. Perhaps what I make of it is that he was perhaps thinking that I have to take the game deep, and I have to save my pacers, Omar Zayes and Naveen ul Haq's overs, so that if it comes down to defending at the end time, I perhaps would be able to do something. And maybe because of that situation, he was trying to save their overs. But what you need to understand is that if Maxwell is playing and the manner in which he was playing, you won't go until the end overs. He will finish the match off well before the designated time. So saving their overs wasn't really a good idea. I think 35th over was bowled by Naveen ul Haq. By then it was slightly late. So I think they could have tried. But really, Rajsi, we'll be really harsh on Afghanistan if we criticize them, because, if someone is batting of Maxwell's caliber, is batting the way he was, then all you can do after a point of time is pray to God कि please हमें wicket मिल जाए उनका, क्योंकि आपसे गिराते नहीं बनेगा वो wicket. So I think it was completely a Maxwell show, and we know the result.
Yeah, it was written. It was completely written because something like this do take some kind of a luck as well, which Maxwell has today. Because हमने drop catches भी देखे और जिस तरीके से Maxwell completely उनकी body उनका support नहीं कर रही थी, but still he ended up doing this. And let me tell you, जब Glenn Maxwell ने 150 भी score नहीं किया था, उससे पहले उनकी body पे cramps आ गए थे और जो last के 60 runs आपने देखे, 70 runs आपने देखे हैं, वो उन्होंने एक्चुअली सिर्फ क्रीज पे खड़े होकर के बनाया है. वो नहीं ले रहे थे सिंगल्स, डबल्स, ज्यादा कोशिश नहीं कर रहे थे. ही वाज जस्ट हिटिंग द बॉल और वही हुआ. और उसके बाद की हमने इनिंग देखी. आई थिंक फॉर मी ऑल द डबल हंड्रेड्स इन ओडीआई क्रिकेट एक तरफ एंड दिस 100 ओडीआई डबल एक तरफ, without demeaning any of the efforts batsmen have done like in the history of ODI cricket, but this is something special. This is something else which I don't think आपको इसे लिस्ट में डालना चाहिए because this is one of a kind. This cannot come under the list. There's nothing second to this. This is the first and the only one. Now let me take you to the top performers of the first innings and the second innings. So सबसे पहले मैं आपको दिखाती हूँ फर्स्ट इनिंग के टॉप परफॉर्मर्स. इब्राहिम जादरान की एक शानदार सेंचुरी 129 रन्स की, जो कि काफी काम आई अफगानिस्तान के टिकट ऑफ इसको. एंड आफ्टरवर्ड्स जॉश हेजलवुड के 2 विकेट हमने देखे ऑस्ट्रेलिया के एंड से. Afterwards, we can see Glenn Maxwell with 201 runs, and he's the man of the match as well. Rashid Khan just giving 2 wickets and 44 रन्स पर उन्होंने अपने पूरे 10 ओवर खत्म किए. दो उनकी ये गेंदबाजी काम नहीं आई ग्लेन मैक्सवेल के आगे, जिसके चलते इतने एक्सपेंसिव दिखाई पड़ रहे हैं आपको राशिद खान, जो कि जनरली होता नहीं है उनकी तरफ से, बट हमें ये देखने को मिला. अब एक बार हम लोग नजर डालते हैं सोशल ट्रैकर की तरफ, जहां पर हम देख सकते हैं ऑब्वियसली एवरीवन इज टॉकिंग अबाउट व्हाट ग्लेन मैक्सवेल हैज डन एंड ही थॉरली डिजर्व्स इट. रिस्पेक्ट बटन फॉर ग्लेन मैक्सवेल. सो प्रति, आई वुड लाइक टू आस्क यू दिस, अगर मैक्सवेल की ये इनिंग आपको नहीं दिखाई पड़ती तो क्या अफगानिस्तान ये मुकाबला जीत जाती?
I definitely think, Ratsi, because like I said, 91 for 7, that time there was, I don't think, I mean, there was, the predictors were showing what, 2% chance, 3% chance of an Australian win. And from there on, you saw what Maxwell did. So I think he single-handedly, that's why I said, you know, Australia versus Afghanistan, no, it's Maxwell versus Afghanistan, because at that point in time, it really looked that Australia were completely down and out. And Afghanistan would be really disappointed because, you know, they had this certainly at that stage became their game to lose, and they ended up losing it. You know, there was that time when people had already perhaps started talking about that, can they limit Australia below 177, because if I'm not wrong, that was the number they had to keep Australia down to, or lower, 177 or lower, to go past Pakistan on net run rate. So I was just feeling in that moment that to imagine that Afghanistan are not just winning against Australia, but they are winning in a position that they are perhaps being able to restrict them by whatever permutations and combinations they had to. It was unreal. But then something even more unreal happened, and that the Maxwell show. So I think top performance, absolutely chuffed by the performance, because, you know, it is these kind of games that you really never forget, and it's these kind of games that you will perhaps talk about for even the next 50 years to come. So yeah, I think we have seen history being made. And Afghanistan, you have to feel for them. You know, they really started to bowl well, the collapse. But then after that, just one-man show, the man, the myth, the legend, Glenn Maxwell. Take a bow, seriously. Unbelievable cricket all around.
Right, my all the prayers to Afghanistan people. You don't feel bad when you get such kind of innings against your team as well, because you have to really celebrate this. I know your team hasn't won an ODI World Cup here. It's important to win matches. Obviously, you will feel bad about it, but this is something which everyone should celebrate. तभी मैं आपको ले चलती हूँ दूसरे अपने Twitter link की तरफ, जहाँ पर हम आपको दिखाएंगे viral tweet. It's all about Maxwell after all. As you can see, Adam Zampa is completely ready to take the guard, but he could not, because Glenn Maxwell ने जो inning दिखाई है वो शानदार थी. The greatest there was, the greatest there is, the greatest there ever will be. Maxwell, the one-man show today. और हम देख सकते हैं अनदर ट्वीट ऑन ग्लेन मैक्सवेल. जिस तरीके से आप देख सकते हैं ग्राउंड पर लेटे हुए हैं बिकॉज ऑफ द पेन ही इज हैविंग. क्रिकेट कवर्स ऑल द इमोशंस, हैप्पीनेस, डाउनफॉल, कमबैक, हाईज, लोज, डिसअपॉइंटमेंट, विक्ट्री, एंगर, एंड इन दिस पर्टिकुलर मोमेंट इट्स पेन एज वेल. और हम देख सकते हैं जिस तरीके से परेशान हो रहे थे, लेकिन फिर भी अपना काम पूरा किया. अगला ट्वीट अगेन ऑन ग्लेन मैक्सवेल, रिस्पेक्ट बटन फॉर ग्लेन मैक्सवेल, एंड नाउ वी कैन सी मैक्सवेल डिजर्व्स एन ऑस्कर. सो डेफिनेटली दिस इज समथिंग दैट जो ऑब्वियसली हमेशा हिस्ट्री में याद रहेगा और हम कभी नहीं भूलेंगे जो आज मैक्सवेल ने किया. बट थैंक यू सो मच प्रत्यय फॉर जॉइनिंग मी एट दिस क्रंच मोमेंट, बिकॉज एवरीवन वाज लाइक बिजी वाचिंग दिस मैच लाइक एनीथिंग, एंड वी नेवर वांटेड टू मिस दिस. एंड थैंक यू एवरीवन हु इज वाचिंग दिस शो एज वेल. आप लोग बने रहिए क्रिक ट्रैकर के साथ, देखते रहिए इंडिया शो.